Today I will be reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Now, you're probably wondering, is this about a child? Freddy Krueger's child? Well, you'll find out once I review this movie. But I think this movie is, well, it's not that good. It's not as good as the fourth, it's not as good as the third, or the second, or the first. But it's not like the worst movie ever. It's just not good. Sure, it has some memorable kills that I definitely enjoy. That's one of the positives. Sure, it definitely has Robert Englund in it. And of course, you gotta have our final girl, Alice, who was in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which I think was good. So there is some positives in this movie, but mostly I didn't typically like this movie, but I think there were some positives in it. So I'll give it that. I'll give the movie that. But overall, the movie's not as good. But I do think it is, okay when it comes to its kills, so that's good for the movie. So yeah, that's basically the movie. That's basically what I have to say about A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. But let me review this movie. So yeah. Hi. What? Are you seriously trying to take over the runtime of this video? I want to go and review this movie. Okay, fine, sure, you can review this movie. Alright, well, I will review this movie starting now. The movie begins with a title card and some weird music playing, which I kind of enjoy listening to. Yeah, I'm not so sure why, but I guess it is pretty random. Yes, The Dream Child. We basically start with 100 maniacs, yup, in an asylum, which looks pretty creepy. And then we get to see Alice, yay, oh, wearing a nun outfit, which is Amanda Krueger. Huh, that's pretty weird. So yeah, the maniacs then go all over Alice, and then we get to see Dan. Wait, well, apparently that's not Dan. Apparently it is Freddy Krueger without makeup. Well, that's pretty weird. What a weird way to start off this movie. So yeah, it's basically graduation day, so all the characters are like graduating from their school. And yes, we of course get to see Dan, you know, from A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Also, why does his glasses look so weird? Like, what the heck? This is pretty goofy to say. And it's also nice to see Alice in A Nightmare on Elm Street 5 because, well, she was one of my favorite final girls in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And I do think she still is good as a final girl in this movie, but it's just, you can't just beat Nancy Thompson, she's better. But I do think Alice would be the second best in this franchise. And sure, let me introduce the new characters who will be in this movie. Let's start off with Greta, who apparently has this mother who is like, I don't know, obsessed with... I don't even know, but yeah, this is Greta. And of course we get to see her mother, Greta's mother, and yeah, don't worry, we will see her later on in this movie, I assure you. And then we get to see Mark, who is like, I don't know, obsessed with comic books or something. That's pretty interesting. And of course we have Yvonne, who works at a hospital, and also is like, I don't know, a professional swimmer. So I guess that's pretty cool. Hey, at least we get to have some interesting characters in this movie. Of course, we're gonna see Alice's dad again, since he was in part 4, so that's nice. And then we apparently get a group picture, which is, pretty nice. Alice is now at a playground, and then she sees the jump rope girls. Maybe Freddy is back. Well, of course he is gonna be back. It wouldn't make sense if this were a Nightmare on Elm Street movie if we did not have Freddy Krueger in it. Come on. Alice then follows the, Elm Street, kids, and then makes her way into the asylum by, following Amanda Krueger. Spooky! Oh, and now we have, Alice on the stretcher thing or whatever. Huh, that's pretty weird. Oh, now we get to see Amanda Krueger? That's super weird. Huh, this is super weird. Oh, and apparently she is giving birth to this, oh my god, baby Freddy Krueger. Oh my god, that thing looks so disturbing. But it, runs into Alice, and, whoa, she makes it into the church from part 4. These are some weird transitions. Oh, and apparently I showed James A. Janice from Dead Meat. Don't worry, I will always give credit to you in the descriptions for, like, of course, showing this movie. Don't worry about that, because I always gotta give credit to people. Baby Freddy Krueger then makes his way into, well, of course, grown up Freddy Krueger's, red and green sweater. So he puts that thing on, and then we get to see Freddy Krueger with a very long arm. Wow, that's pretty weird. And apparently Freddy Krueger says, "It's a boy," because that's just how Freddy Krueger is. So he goes up to Alice and scares her for some reason. Then we get to see Amanda Krueger talking to Freddy Krueger that he's like nothing and that the birth of him was a big mistake. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes I just get tired of talking a lot in my videos. Oh, and apparently Alice makes it into the restaurant from the fourth film, the Crave Inn. Wow. I like hot dogs. We now have a scene where the rest of the characters are now having a pool party, and apparently Alice is calling Dan about, like, that she, like, is dealing with Freddy Krueger again, which is really scary. And apparently Mark has some, like, glass on his hand because he, like, put it on him for some reason. Even though if he is drawing violent comic books, I don't know why he's scared about that. But now we have Dan, who is, well, driving his truck so he can, like, I don't know, go to Alice. But it's not going well for him because, well, Freddy Krueger's just messing around with the truck, making him drive all crazy while Freddy Krueger is drinking beer. What the heck, Freddy? You are just so chaotic. Oh my god, and now your arm is coming off? What the heck? A lot is going on. Oh, and then Dan just falls out and back to this pool. That's weird. Oh, then he finds a motorcycle. And then apparently, since he is driving, well, what do you know? Freddy Krueger is just messing around with that motorcycle, saying some weird one-liners like, "You're not dreaming right," and stuff like that. That's just how Freddy Krueger is. And then, well, unfortunately, lots of stuff goes on his face, so he can look really, really, really creepy, like a creepy monster. Yeah, this is just so chaotic. Oh my god. This is such an insane scene, but I do think it is pretty cool, to be honest. And now we're at a scene where Alice is in the diner, and then, well, what do you know? We get jump scared, and apparently Dan is falling down this tunnel. And that means also Dan, well, died in real life too. That was a crazy sequence. And apparently Freddy Krueger is now in Dan's body, like, trying to mess with Alice. And then she wakes up in a hospital. I know you lost your boyfriend, Alice, but hey, at least you have your friend, Yvonne, to keep you company. It's then revealed that Alice is, well, pregnant, apparently. That's pretty weird. And then Alice gets to see this, well, kid named Jacob. Yeah, that kid right there, named Jacob. So, apparently he talks to him about sorry of what happened to Dan. And then that's pretty much it of the scene. And apparently Yvonne tells Alice that there were no kids in the hospital at all. So does that mean that that kid Jacob was a ghost? I mean, probably. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Alice then has a conversation with, well, her friends about that Freddy Krueger is real. Freddy Krueger is coming for all of you. You know how it usually goes in this franchise. But don't worry, Alice, you get some company with your friends, so that's good. We now have a scene where Alice is, well, crying about Dan's death because, well, she just can't get over of what has happened. I mean, I totally understand it's all about trauma with her, and I totally understand that she's definitely sad about what happened to Dan, but like I said, she has lots of company, like her dad, for example, so yeah, just be thankful that your dad is here for you and the company you get, so, yeah. Okay, now moving on. We now get to have, finally, the dinner scene in this movie, which is actually my favorite scene in this movie. I told you we were gonna see Greta's mom again. I just told you. But I don't know why, but this is just my favorite scene in this movie. This scene always just stuck for me for years. I just cannot get this scene out of my head. That's why I call this my favorite scene in the movie. So yeah, Greta is sad that Dan is dead, and of course she doesn't want to have food because of what happened. But her mother starts to get mad and tells her that she should be eating about like I don't know. I don't know. I don't even understand. And apparently Greta's like arguing with her mom about like being concerned about her weight or something. Yeah, this is just a lot of going on, I must say. But then we finally get to see Freddy Krueger. Let's go. Bon appetit, bitch. So yeah, apparently Freddy Krueger is feeding Greta this like Barbie or something. Yeah, which is pretty weird while her mom is just talking. So yeah, he puts the food in Greta's mouth and apparently she doesn't want it, which I totally understand. Because Freddy just needs to chill out at this point. Don't talk with your mouth full, dear. Same with Greta's mom. She needs to chill out too. So yeah, apparently Freddy Krueger is giving Greta a hug. Yeah, I don't understand what the heck is going on. And apparently Greta chokes, and then, well, we transition to another scene, which is Alice putting some, I don't know, some like oranges in the fridge, and then they're like rotting. Yeah, they're like literally rotting. And then soon after that, as soon as she's all confused, well, what do you know? Greta comes out of the fridge, oh my god, and asking for help for Alice, but you know it's just, well, too late. And yeah, Freddy Krueger basically gets Greta. And then that's basically the death of Greta. Also, what Freddy Krueger wrote on the fridge is just so insane. So yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in this movie. I will never ever forget about this scene, ever. R.I.P. to Greta. Alice and Yvonne make their way into Mark's warehouse where I guess he lives. Huh, that's pretty weird. But pretty soon Mark then goes to sleep, which is very, very bad because you do not want to fall asleep in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. So apparently Art uses her elementary art skills and like draws a girl so she can like go to this Elm Street house. Because the Elm Street house is just the best. Alice apparently finds Mark, who is like hanging and almost gonna be like falling down this tunnel. Yeah, the same tunnel that Dan fell in like when he was dreaming, so that's pretty weird. So yeah, Alice basically saves Mark, and then apparently Mark has blood on his hands and falls down. So yeah, Mark just disappeared, which is pretty weird. Alice then finds creepy little ghost kid Jacob. Apparently, Jacob shouts at Alice, and then soon enough, Jacob then runs away, disappearing, and then Alice then finds Mark. Huh, what a weird dream, I must say. Alice is now at the hospital because, of course, Yvonne works there, and she's talking about Yvonne about, like, babies and them dreaming, and apparently the doctor is checking just to make sure about, like, her pregnancy is going well. You know, the usual stuff. Oh, and apparently we get to see Freddy Krueger in Alice's stomach, so he can keep track of the baby. Dang, Freddy, you are creepy. Oh, that was a pretty confusing scene. Yeah, I bet Yvonne is pretty confused as well. We then get to see Dan's parents, who is telling Alice that they want to adopt the baby because they don't trust her of all the crazy Freddy stuff and they think she's a psycho, apparently. But she refuses the offer, and of course Alice is looking at history of Amanda Krueger, and Mark too. So yeah, basically Alice goes to sleep and Mark is gonna be watching in case, well, of course, Freddy Krueger comes. So basically Alice is going to sleep so she can try to find Amanda Krueger, basically. Wow, this is a lot going on. Yvonne now wants to relax, so she basically goes around the pool and then goes into this hot tub. Oh no, she's going to sleep. And then we get to see Freddy Krueger's claws. Oh no! And then Yvonne goes up to the diving board, and then we get this, well, crazy effect where we get to see claws coming out. Then she falls all the way down into the pool. Oh my god. Whoa, that was crazy. Then we get to see Alice, who is still searching for Amanda. And then, well, we get to see Freddy Krueger again, who, what do you know, has Yvonne. So, well, Alice puts this, like, spear thing into Freddy Krueger's mouth, and then Freddy looks pretty creepy. Wow. Alice is now talking to Yvonne about all the craziness is happening, and Yvonne does not look like she's having a good time. Mark then grabs a comic book because he is obsessed with those, and then he's looking into the comic book, and there are already things that happened in this movie before, and then, what do you know, he gets sucked into the comic book, whoa, and then he starts to run, oh, then we get to see Freddy Krueger on a skateboard. This is very cheesy, but, I mean, I guess it is what it is. It's super cheesy that I actually kind of enjoy this scene. Oh, and now we get to see a doll version of Greta. No, and then she falls down, and then Mark is mad, and then he turns into this superhero called the Phantom Prowler. What the heck? So yeah, he basically shoots Freddy, but you know he's still alive. Because Freddy is now Super Freddy! So yeah, it's too late for Mark because he gets cut up by Freddy Krueger. Oh, now Mark is paper. Wow, this is actually pretty cool. Wow, this is actually a pretty genius kill. The kills in this movie are not bad in my opinion. I actually enjoy these kills. Alice and Yvonne then reunite, and then it's time for Yvonne to go to the asylum to stop Freddy Krueger. And, well, I mean, to find Amanda Krueger. And now Alice is trying to find Freddy Krueger. So she basically finds him, and then apparently we get to see Freddy Krueger multiple times. And then she grabs the baby carrier, and then stabs him with it. Whoa, then he falls down, and then he sees the 100 maniacs, you know, from the beginning of this movie. And then Freddy Krueger's arm comes off, and oh my god, turns into spiders. What the heck? Oh, now we get to see Freddy Krueger and Jacob. I have no idea what's going on with Freddy Krueger's arm. I don't know what's going on. Jacob then takes Freddy's hand, and then Alice tells him that he's very bad, and then we get some weird shots, upside down shots, then we get to see Dan, huh? Well, turns out it is actually Freddy Krueger shape-shifting into Dan, which is, I guess, pretty cool. So yeah, Freddy Krueger goes after him, then we get some weird upside down shots. Wow, this is just crazy. So basically, Freddy Krueger is in Alice's body, which is ridiculous. So Freddy Krueger then comes out of Alice, which is so crazy. This is kind of reminding me of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, when well, of course, Freddy Krueger was getting out of Jesse's body. So Yvonne then finds, Amanda Krueger, and then apparently her soul is at rest. And then Amanda Krueger then makes her way into the dream world. Sure, why not? And apparently Jacob now wants to be Freddy Krueger's child, which is I don't know, like a different version of Freddy Krueger. Yeah, I don't even understand what is going on anymore, but okay, I guess. So yeah, Freddy Krueger then makes his way to Jacob, apparently. Wow, this is weird. And then Amanda Krueger is coming. And then, Jacob turns on Freddy Krueger and then, spits out the souls or something. Then his free victims, pop out of his back. And then that's apparently Freddy's death. And then, baby Freddy Krueger comes out. So yeah, basically Jacob is now a baby. And Freddy Krueger is a baby. And then Freddy Krueger goes inside of Amanda. And then Jacob, as a baby, goes inside of Alice. Wow, this is weird. And apparently, Amanda Krueger leaves with Freddy Krueger's claws coming out, and the door shuts. Wow. And now Alice has finally have her baby Jacob. And yay, we get to see Yvonne, Alice, and baby Jacob, and of course Alice's dad. Wow, that's a pretty nice ending. But, of course, we get to see the jump rope girls again, because we all know Freddy will return. We always know that will happen. So yeah, that was basically the end of me reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. This movie was a lot. Of course, I do not like this movie that much as the others, but I do have some positives of the movie, so that's good. And I do think the kills are good, but I gotta be honest, there's only 3 kills in this movie, because apparently the MPAA cut down most of the kills, which is pretty disappointing. Kinda reminds me of, the MPAA going all on Friday the 13th Part 7. Yeah, remember that movie? So yeah, and it's also crazy that this movie review is coming out on Halloween. Yeah, this is just so crazy. I mean, I just can't believe this movie review would come out on Halloween, but I guess it is what it is. It's pretty goofy. So, yeah, so I do think this movie is not as good as the others, but it does have some positive, scenes, positive things about it that I do think is pretty cool, so That is, good. So, yeah, that's basically the end of me reviewing this movie. So, yeah. Yes! You finally got to review this movie. Now, you are going to be my child now. You got that? I don't want to be your child, okay? Why? Are you scared or something? Of course I'm not afraid of you. You're just a plushie like me. Fair enough, that is fair. Fine, I guess I'll find my child. Eventually. Yeah, that is true. So, yeah, that's basically the end of me reviewing this movie. And, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Now I guess I just gotta find my child.